Gulai. I'm extremely sorry for the technical issue that we faced, and we can now go back to our class. Hello everyone. Hello everyone, we faced some technical glitch, but now we are back. Thank you very much for being patient about this thing. So first of all, we are going to just a second guys, let's just get people joined, because a lot of our friends who have, it's not buffering, I'm looking at the phone and I'm just coordinating certain technical things. So now let's get started. Let's go to the first slide and let's talk about things again. I can see the streaming well at my end. And we are going to talk a lot of things about the strategy. We are going to do practice today. We are going to talk about the DPP program. Lot of things are going to be covered today in this session in a very crisp manner. Okay, so first of all, let us just discuss one thing, that in this session, in this series of sessions, we are going to help you crack your CSAT paper, and the fear that you all feel because CSAT has been a game changer, we are going to get you over that. How are we going to do that? We are going to help you with a daily practice program. Now, what are the features of this program? Firstly, you will not be alone in your CSAT journey. A team of IITians will be with you at all times. Okay, a team of IITians will be with you at all times. Okay, so hold your horses guys. RC we are going to talk about, but let's talk about this program first. 2 minutes I will take and then we will jump to RC. Okay, we are going to handhold you, a team of IITians is going to handhold you, practice questions every day with you. This is very important. CSAT needs practice. Recently, CSAT paper has been a game changer. I have said this a couple of times because a lot of students who have been doing well in their GS paper are not able to qualify because of CSAT. Why? Because the paper, the pattern is changing. The difficulty level is increasing. And at the same time, we are feeling there's a time crunch. We don't find sufficient time to attempt many questions. Now, first of all, what are we going to do in this program? Day you will be practicing along with IITians. So how will you practice? Every morning you will be given a sheet, okay, which will have the questions. So you're supposed to try to solve them on your own, and 8 o'clock someone will be here from our team who's an IITian and they will solve it. Now, what is the benefit of practicing with an IITian? Usually for your quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, we try to mug up formulas, and sometimes these formulas don't work, and a lot of times aspirants are confused which formula to use in this question. So we are not mugging up formulas, we are going to study very conceptually. Okay, even RC we have taken a very different take and it is giving fabulous results since last year. Morning PDF, 8 p.m. practice with an IITian, 2 topics covered every day, and by this pace we will be covering the entire paper of CSAT 2 times. Okay, so we are going to help you get rid of your CSAT fear. This program, the March batch is full. April, we have seats open, but the seats are limited because it is a live practice. The person who's teaching won't be able to tackle. So we are keeping a limited batch. You will find the link to the description, to subscription in the description box below once the video is done. So this is one-stop solution to your CSAT phobia. Now, I told you practicing live. Now we are going to talk about reading comprehension. Okay, lot of students are feeling that reading comprehension takes too much time. You are not able to find the answer. And let me tell you, on an average, 30 to 35% weightage is of reading comprehension. Initially 4 to 5 years ago, okay, initially 4 to 5 years ago, when you used to look at the CSAT paper, reading comprehension used to be very simple, like we had in our school days. But recently the level of reading comprehension has increased, because UPSC wants you to understand things from a different point of view. So this course is designed according to the demand of UPSC. So first of all, we are going to look at this thing, that if you miss your 30 to 35 marks because of the fear of not being able to reach the correct answer, or maybe wasting too much time, or whatever fears you have, so this class is going to make you feel confident. All your fears will be gone, because here today I am going to tell you how to tackle CSAT. So after watching this course, so around 25 questions are asked from CSAT, and after this course you will be able to do 15 questions very confidently. You will be able to derive the correct answers. Okay, so let's see what are the common mistakes that we make, and what is the common misconception we have regarding the RC thing. So let's see this. Now we are getting 15 questions correct. So multiply 15 by 2.5 and you have the answer, how much contribution it will be making to your score. So please guys, take this RC very, very, very seriously. Okay. Now, first of all, whenever there is a reading comprehension in our school days, what is the issue? Why are we not able to get the answer? Why are we so confused? You are neither reading the passage first, you are neither reading the question first. Most of the questions in CSAT has a keyword in the question. Agree? Assumption, inference, central idea, suggestion, corollary, crux, etc., etc., etc. Now, to reach to the correct answer very easily, okay, to reach to the correct answer easily, we will have to understand the meaning of these keywords. And if you understand the meaning of these keywords, and if you practice with us regularly, then you will be effectively doing 15 questions correct in your CSAT paper, in your examination. Okay, so let's just start and look at what are the common mistakes that we made, or what are the misconceptions that we have. First, a lot of people think that reading comprehension takes too much time and it is low yielding. So guys, the first thing is that if you follow the strategy given by Sunya IAS, then you will not find a time crunch. In our classes, when we made the students practice, after making them understand how to go about it, students were able to arrive at the answer within 1 to 1.5 minutes. So we will teach you how to tackle your reading comprehension with limited time. Okay. Yes, in school days it used to happen, but we are taking it to a new level. We are, designing courses according to the demand of the UPSC, and that is what you are getting here. A lot of us think that we need to have a fabulous vocabulary to work around CSAT, but that is also a misconception. If there is one or a couple of words that you cannot understand, right? If there are a couple of words that you cannot understand, then it's all right. If you will read the entire passage and the sentence very meaningfully, you will be able to, get past it. To be very honest, I'll show you a few examples also. Lot of times, we apply our GS knowledge and we arrive an answer. But we actually have to understand one thing, that we have to answer based on just the passage. So today we will be doing Today we will be doing 2 keywords and we will be practicing 10 passages. Okay. Now let us look at a few examples. What are the type of questions that are asked? So let me just, give you a very fair idea of all these 3 words. Now, if I'm going to talk in bookish language, it is not going to be easy for you. It will be more complicated. So let me, derive a very simple example from your daily life. Okay. So I need all of you to interact with me on this. Okay, listen to the example very clearly. This is an example drawn from your daily life. Okay, everyone with me, give me a yes in the box and we will start with the example. So, say for example, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, you're calling your friend. Okay, this is a passage, listen to it very carefully, and then you will have to tell me what is a central idea, what is an assumption, and what is an inference out of the passage. If you understand these small technicalities, you will be able to arrive at an answer very easily. Okay, so here you are calling, the passage starts now. You are calling your friend at 7 p.m. Okay, and you need help with some of the things and you're asking him to come over. Now your friend will start saying, as soon as you call up, he will say that I had, today the day has been wrong for me. The moment I woke up, I went to the washroom, my toothbrush broke. Then I was doing something, my father rushed in and thought I was being lazy and he scolded me. After all these things, I was late to office. As soon as I reached office, I got a call from my father that someone in the family is hospitalized. While I was going there, I met with an accident or maybe my bike got punctured. I have been slogging all day. This is what your friend told you. Okay, so this is one example drawn from your daily life. So here, what will be your assumption? Assumption is something, is an imaginary component derived from our belief. Okay, so here your assumption would be that your friend will be there for you, whatever the situation or circumstances. Inference is something that can be drawn based on the information in the passage. So the inference would be your friend will not show up because he is, tired or he has a bad day. And the central idea of the passage would be your friend has had a difficult day. So guys, are you getting the crux of it? What we did from a single daily life example passage, we derived 3 different things. So if UPSC is asking which of the following assumptions can be made from the following passage, your answer will be different. If UPSC is asking what is the central idea of the passage, your answer will be different. And if an inference is asked, your answer will be different. But what is happening? We are in our, school wala mindset. We are in our school wala mindset. So what happens? We don't read the keyword. We just read the options. We just read the passage. So tell me, how many of you do this? Tell me very honestly, how many of you do this? That you don't read the keyword, you don't emphasize on the keyword, you just read the passage and the options. Guys, please adjust your resolution because things are working well from our end. Okay, only 1% does it. Most of us does it, but they don't accept it. But that's all right. We are going to decode everything. So today we are going to look at one of the most difficult topic, that is assumption and inference. In a couple of minutes, we are going to, start solving the passages and we are going to come up with assumption and inference. Okay, let us start. Let's focus on the takeaways of the class. Okay, let's focus on the takeaways of the class. So, corollary is asked. Corollary is one very complicated word that most of us are unable to understand. I will take up one example of corollary also. ठीक है, let us go a little bit ahead. Crux is also a thing, but today we cannot do all the examples. Done. So let's do one example of assumption. It is from CSE 2021. Okay, I am reading the passage and I need all of you to read it with me, right? So let's start. What are we going to do? Read the passage? Read the... No, we are going to look at the keyword first. What are we going to look at? We're going to look at the keyword first. So here we are going to have an assumption. Okay, now we are going to have an assumption. What is an assumption? We just discussed one example. So assumption is something which is based on belief. It might have, okay, an imaginary component to it for an assumption to be true. The information in the passage has to be true. Okay, an assumption cannot negate the information given here. Okay, so let's start reading. Now, first thing first, you all need to understand how to read the passage. Okay, you have to be very patient when you're dealing or learning something new. I know you all read a lot, but usually in the paper, whenever we are, we have this one thing in our mind that there are less number of minutes we can allot to every question. So most of you will start, fig trees are considered sacred in India, East Asia and Africa, and are common in agriculture and urban landscapes where other large trees are absent. See, if you have space, you will not be putting anything. This is an example, beta. We will be starting soon. I'm taking 2 PYQs and then we will start the worksheet. This is a PYQ. Okay. Yes, we are doing passages. Yes, 2 minutes, guys. When you read with such a speed, when you read so fast, what happens? Nothing is getting registered in your mind. So we will have to learn an optimum speed to read the passages, so that we have to just read it once or maybe twice. If you will read faster, you will not be able to arrive at the answer. You will read it again. Again, you will be in the same thing. Then what we all do is we fold the paper. Right, the corner of the paper. We circle the question that after doing a few sums, I will come back to this one. Then we again come and read it twice. So you're reading to 5 times. Instead of that, we are going to read this thing very mindfully. Okay. What do I mean by when I say mindfully? We are going to read one sentence, put the idea in our mind, read another sentence, put that idea in our mind, and build up the entire passage like a story in our mind. Okay. I'm reading it for you. Okay, I'm reading it for you. Let's get started. Fig trees. It's a PYQ of 2021. Okay. Fig trees are considered sacred in India, and these are the other places where they are considered sacred and are common in agriculture and urban landscapes where other large trees are absent. Okay. They're saying they're common at certain places. Okay. Then the second sentence we are going to read is, in natural forests, fig trees provide food for wildlife when other resources are scarce and support a high density and diversity of frugivores. Now I told you don't need to have a great vocabulary. What is happening is, whenever some kind of a technical word is given, UPSC will give you the meaning also. Okay, this is an actual UPSC thing. Okay, yeah, it's good. Best. Okay, so frugivores are fruit-eating animals. So what does this passage say? We have put 2 ideas in our mind. If frugivore birds and bats continue to visit fig trees located in sites with high human disturbances, sacred fig trees may promote frugivore abundance. Okay, so it is talking about what will happen if these are in high human disturbance places. Okay, great. Chalo. Under favorable microclimate, plenty of seedlings of other tree species would grow around it. So what does the whole passage say? One by one, we have to put the idea in our mind. Good to go. So let's get started again. Okay. Done. Now let's look what are we supposed to find assumption. So assumption will have some sort of imaginary component. For an assumption to be true, the given information in the passage has to be true. Also, an assumption will never be explicitly written. An assumption will never be explicitly written in the passage. So if there is an option which is explicitly mentioned in the passage, we will negate that option ekdam fatak se. Okay, now let us see. Fig trees can often be keystone species in natural forests. Now what is a keystone species? It is, we have all studied environment. But still, there would be people who wouldn't know what is the meaning of this keystone species. So let's put a question mark here. Okay, I know the answer, but I am trying to solve it with you. Okay, in exam kind of a vibe. Then let's go to second. Fig trees can grow where other large woody species cannot grow. Now see, here we are saying that they grow in forests, in places where there are, in agricultural landscapes and all. So this is an extreme statement that they will grow where no other species, kind of a thing. So we are going to negate this one, right? Then sacred trees can have a role in biodiversity conservation. So here we have said that they are considered sacred somewhere. Here we have said that a lot of frugivores will visit it. Here we are saying that a lot of seedlings will grow around it. So can we sum it up? Saying that yes, this one has to be true. Okay, so whichsoever option does not have 3, we are going to eliminate that. So which one are we eliminating? This one and this one. Now let us look at 4. Fig trees have a role in the seed dispersal of other trees. Now we have to assume something. What are we assuming? Under favorable microclimate, plenty of seedlings of other tree species will grow around trees. So even this one is correct, right? It is saying that yes, dispersal can happen. So now tell me, what is your answer? What is your answer, everyone? Chalo, let's get going. Our answer will be this one. Hai na? Let us go a little bit ahead. We have assumed things, right? Now you know what do we mean by assumption? Very clear. आगे चलते हैं. Now this is one example I'm taking from PYQ, and then we are going to solve our practice sheet, the questions that are provided to everyone. If you don't have the practice sheet, you can go to our Telegram channel, and on our Telegram channel you will find the PDF of the questions. So if you have not downloaded, take a minute and download it ASAP. Okay, so here फिग ट्रीज का क्या रोल है, कैसे करेक्ट हुआ? व्हाट डज इट से? दैट birds and bats will visit, and here it is written that seedlings will grow. So since they are visiting, है ना, there will be seedlings around it. So it is an assumption that there will be a role. ठीक है? Now let us go. One last PYQ for today to explain you the meaning of corollary, and after that, after you understood corollary, we are going to start the practice sheet for today from the daily prelims practice program, है ना? So here in India, the objective of macroeconomic policy is to enhance the economic welfare of the people. And any one wing of such macro policy, monetary or fiscal, cannot independently work without active support of another. Now, what is the meaning of corollary? Okay, what it is one type of tree, beta. You don't have to write a passage on fig trees. It's one type of tree, that's it. Don't get into the detailing of it. So now what is a corollary? A corollary can be best explained by, if there is an equation a plus b is equal to c, then a is equal to c minus b. This is one of the simplest explanation. Now let me tell you, how do we arrive here? Okay, guys, see, I'll tell you. In the CSAT paper, the passages are taken from various sources, various editorials, various journals. You might stumble upon words which you don't know. So don't get stuck there. Just take it as an object. Fig tree, it's some kind of a tree. Don't get stuck there that what type of a tree it is. Okay. Now, chalo, let us get here. Now, what is the passage saying? That these two have to work together. They cannot independently work without each other's support. That is what it is saying. Now let us read the things. The central bank cannot work independently of the government. Okay, yes, it is very explicitly written. Let's put a question mark here. This can be the answer. Never take an answer without reading all the options in a passage. Okay, government should regulate financial markets and institutions closely. It is nowhere saying that. Market economy is not compatible with the socialist policies of the government. It is saying they both have to be compatible to make a difference. Financial sector reforms are required for enhancing the economic welfare of the people. It says just one is not enough. Both of them are needed. So we're going to negate this also. So answer here is central bank cannot work independently of the government. Now in this passage, central bank word is nowhere given, right? So what do we do? Who frames the monetary policy? Tell me. And who frames the fiscal policy? Central bank and the government. So central bank and the government have to work together is what is the corollary of the passage. So you will have to go through the passage, understand the meaning, and then you will be able to find the answer of the corollary. Corollary is not asked every year. Usually the pattern, if you see, it is asked every alternate year. Last year there was no question on corollary. This year there might be, or maybe in the coming year. Okay, this is one very easy keyword, and if there is a question with the keyword corollary, you should not miss it. You should definitely go for it. Okay, even the central idea, things, the last Saturday we practiced, we did central idea crux. Right, now let's start our practice sheet. Okay, are all of you ready with the practice sheet? Those who didn't have you guys downloaded it already? Yes, you will learn a lot of tricks coming ahead, so don't worry about it. So, okay, we all have the practice sheets in our hand and we all have attempted it. So let us check things out here. Now, we have put lengthy passages. Okay, and in UPSC there are 4 to 5 passages from which more than one question is asked. So the weightage of one passage would be how much? Around 5 marks, not around, it is 5 marks. So this is your bonus question, your jackpot question. The 5-mark passage we have to attempt. Okay, keep it very clear in your mind. Now let's read the passage and let's try to understand assumption. So guys, what did we discuss about assumption? You can tell me in the comment box. First thing, it is never explicitly written in the passage. It can have an imaginary component. Third, for the assumption to be correct, okay, it should not negate any information given here. 3 things we have to consider for the assumption to be correct. Now, if I talk very technically, Okay, then assumption has two things. One is premise and another is belief. The belief will have some component which is not mentioned, and premise will be some. Premise means that for an assumption to be true, the information in the passage has to be true. Now let me tell you one of the examples. Okay, very vague example. Say for example, there is one line given. The curtain is blue. Okay, the curtain is blue, and you have to write down, you have to tick what would be an assumption from the one sentence. So option A, nothing, the curtain is blue colored and is beautiful. B, the author is feeling sad. C, the curtain needs to be changed. And D, none of the above. What will you go with? What would you go with? If you are an author, your assumption is that the author is feeling sad. If you are a normal person like me, you would say the curtains are blue colored and they're beautiful. Okay, so according to the person, the assumptions will change. That is why we have to understand UPSC's assumptions. Okay, we have done a detailed practice of PYQs and understood how UPSC makes assumptions out of the passages, and the course is very completely made on these parameters. Now let's read this passage. Okay, now let us try reading it together. How are we going to read it? In the post-Snowden world, young people, now we don't know what this is. None of us would know. Okay, young people's attitudes. So we are talking about some event. Okay, you should have one thing in mind, that we're talking about some event. Don't get into it that, oh my God, I don't know this. Okay, this is one big mistake that we all make while our reading comprehension. Young people's attitudes towards surveillance. The role of governments and whistleblowers is sparking a change in online behavior. So this has to be something related to whistleblowing, okay, and internet. That is what we can figure out. Pradeep, I said assumption would be different for different people. So we have to understand how is UPSC making the assumptions. है ना? आगे. But is the shift big or quick enough to ensure the epicenter of young people's world, the internet, is secure and private? So after reading the first two lines, you should have a clear idea what the passage is going to talk about. Okay, the passage is going to talk about internet and the security, okay, and safety of your data. Right? Aage, especially for the younger generation, the internet is not some standalone, separate domain where a few of life's functions are carried out. Okay, it is something which is very essential to someone's life. है ना? आगे. Yes, kind of. Yes. It is not merely our post office or our telephone. Rather, it is the epicenter of our world, the place where virtually everything is done. So we are again re-emphasizing the importance of internet. So whenever you are reading a passage, if there is similar information that you're finding, try and write these kind of things. It is again emphasizing the importance of internet. It is where friends are made, where books and films are chosen, where political activism is organized, where the most private data is created and stored. So this is some information that can be bundled together. Okay, this is some information that can be bundled together. What activities do we do using the internet? Now, why am I asking you to write these things in the passage? So that if there is an assumption about the activities or about the importance of internet, you will just have to read those 2-3 lines and arrive at an answer. Okay. It is where we develop and express our very personality and the sense of self. I hope every one of you is able to relate to it. For most, the internet is an essential tool associated with great advantages and opportunities. However, there is a growing movement of consciousness about the dangers and threats arising out of the use of the internet, particularly the way in which personal data is harvested and exploited. So, the author is talking about how important it is to our life, and it is not safe how our data is being used. Okay. Now, if all of you, any of you have practiced, please put in the answers that you've got in the comment box. Let us understand why we have reached to some answer. Internet is one of the most essential part of everyone's life today. So, how many of you think this is true? And if not true, why not true? First thing, it is not, here we have written everyone's life. Whether the passage is talking about younger generation, it is saying that it is very, very, very pivotal to the younger generation. Okay, also the statement seems very authoritative and yes, youth. And in an assumption, you will find words like maybe, can be, would be, should be, shall be. Okay, these kind of words will be found in your assumption. Now, the internet is more than just a tool, but an integral part of the young people's self-expression and identity formation. Now, yes, if we look at this, it can be an assumption based on all the activities that we are doing. Okay. We have nowhere mentioned self-expression, not read self-expression and identity formation. But based on all the activities that the young people are doing on the internet, it is assumed that, okay, it is a part of self-expression and identity formation. So here, assumption would be 2 only. Your answer is B in this question. How many of you got the correct answer? How many of you got the correct answer? Again, the same passage is here, but we are not going to read it again because we have the idea saved in our mind that how are we going to read it and what the passage is particularly talking about. Now, let us read these 2 assumptions. Okay, always read the keyword. Today we are doing assumptions and inference, but in the paper, you will have different keywords mixed up. Okay, let's read. The internet can be a powerful tool for political activism and organizing movements against the government. Now, if we go to this passage, we had bundled information saying that these are the activities that can be done using the internet. So here, political activism is one of the things that is mentioned. Hai na? We bundle up that information. So, and it says can be. So, this is an assumption. Many a times, the tone of the statement will tell you. Okay, many a times the tone of the statement will tell you if it is an assumption or not. So these are your words which will very much affirm that this can be a assumption. And from the bundle of activities, it is talking about one activity and it is then expanding the activity into another, which can be this. So what did we say? Assumption will have an imaginary component to it. It can have an imaginary component to it also. So yes, this one is correct. Now let's look at statement number 2. Whistleblowers such as Edward Snowden have influenced young people's attitudes towards surveillance. Now, what did we say? There is nowhere written about this person, but we can assume from the first two lines that yes, this can be true. Okay, so this is also true. So here, what is your answer? Both 1 and 2 are correct. So after doing one passage and two examples, are you guys getting some clarity that how are we going to understand what UPSC wants us to assume? Right? With more practice, you will get more proficient. And out of the 25 plus questions, we will do minimum 15 questions correctly. Minimum, effectively correct. Now let's look at passage number 2. Okay. Beta Saurav, it is not written, but an assumption can have an imaginary component to it. Okay, that is why it is an assumption. Right? Like in the story I said, you would assume that your friend will come, but from the information given, it can be inferred that he will not arrive to help you. Okay? Saurav, I think that answers your question. Let's move on to passage number 2. A year on the Russia-Ukraine war has become a bonfire of ambitions. So now we are going to talk about the Russia-Ukraine war. What are we doing today? Assumption. Always read the keyword first. Don't start, because the passage talks about young people more. Okay, so that is an assumption. Young people use the internet more. That's what mentioned in the passage. Okay, let's go. Now let's focus on this passage. Okay. Russia is too weak to win and Ukraine is too strong to lose. Despite of our beliefs, we are going to take the passage as it is written. Okay. Let's not argue with UPSC that no, this cannot be true. Battle with 21st century weapons are stalling battlefronts resembling those from the last century. So we're comparing the battlefield. American sanctions cut Europe from Russian energy but hardly dented its war aims. In spite of USA's move, Russia was unaffected. After this, the war has moved from a Russia-Ukraine war to a proxy war of the US against the Russia. Now it is going beyond, expanding the premise of the passage. Global security has been strained like never before. Yes, we all experienced this. At the onset of war, Russian pushback against aggressive NATO encroachment, Ukraine's high practice in the war, the return of American dominance over European security and energy policies, and the expected US incapacity to pursue dual containment against both Russia and China simultaneously. A year on these points remain largely valid. Now this is a lot of information and the passage is very boring. Let me tell you. Okay. Now what can be assumed? Let us see. The war may lead to increased arms race and military spending. Can we assume this? They both are trying hard. USA is also supporting. So very much, yes, this is an assumption. Arms race is nowhere written. But we have to assume that if there will be a war between the superpowers, the arms race will increase. Okay. Yes, Saurav, let us complete this one, then we will solve your doubt. The conflict demonstrates the challenges of pursuing a foreign policy of containment. Now we are talking about how NATO is here, Russia is here, US, European security, how is encroachment happening? So yes, we are talking about challenges of pursuing a foreign policy. Okay, it is not explicitly written anywhere, but yes, we can assume from the passage that yes, this needs to be done. It says we have had 1 year of this. Okay, let's look at the third one. So let's do one thing. Okay, wherever you don't have 1 and 2, we will cancel those options. Always attempt your paper very, very, very mindfully. है ना? So let's do the third. Now our answer depends on the statement number 3. So by doing this, you have confirmed one thing, that from 25% probability of your answer being correct, now it is 50%. Let's read 3. The conflict has created new opportunities for non-state actors such as private military contractors. Now, has it anywhere mentioned that the countries are taking help from someone else? No, it is nowhere mentioned that the countries are taking help from someone else. So, this assumption is negating the information in the passage. Getting my point? So, now what is our answer? Our answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Okay, lot of students fear the assumption questions, but after today's session, you guys, practice your PYQs confidently. I'm sure you'll be able to reach the answer, because now you understand what is the exact meaning of an assumption. Okay. Saurav, see, there is something called a premise, okay, in an assumption. Premise means that for the assumption to be true, it should not negate the information in the passage. For an assumption to be true, the information given in the passage also has to be true. Okay, we are talking about young people using it, and in the option it says everyone. So from a subset, we are going to the whole set, and it is negating the information given in the passage. Okay, Saurav. Now let's do passage number 3. House work demands effort and sacrifice. 365 days a year. Okay, think of your moms, all of you. Whenever there's a passage you can relate to with someone, always start building the idea upon it. There's nothing wrong with it. 24/7. Despite this, huge proportion of Indian women aren't queens reigning over their kingdom, the family. A large number of women live with domestic violence and cruelty because they are economically dependent on others. Okay, this is one of the facts. Okay, they're stating the fact here. Mainly their husbands. Time use data from 2019 gathered by the National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO we are talking about, revealed that only about a quarter of men and boys above 6 years engage in unpaid household chores compared to over 1/5 of women. So we are comparing between genders, and the point of comparison is household work. Every day, an average Indian male spends 1.5 hours per day in unpaid domestic work compared to about 5 hours by a female. Again, comparison between the genders in terms of hours. Going further, it is thus important to recognize the value of unpaid domestic work. However, creating value isn't always about fair remuneration. Asking men to pay for wives' domestic work could further enhance their sense of entitlement. Right? Men would feel that I'm paying you to do the work, do it properly. It may also put the additional onus on women to perform. Right? In your jobs, you get a salary and you have to perform. Besides, the ethics of buying domestic labor from wife possesses a serious risk of formalizing the patriarchal Indian family, where the position of men stems from being providers in the relationship. So the entire passage talks about men, women, patriarchy, household work. Right? Now, what assumptions can be made? Let us look at these. First one. Women who rely on their husbands for financial support are at a high risk of experiencing domestic violence and abuse. Yes, here it is said that a large number of women live with this because they are economically dependent on others, mainly their husbands. So this is an assumption that, majority of the women are at a risk. It does not say are experiencing. It is saying are at a risk. So this one is correct. Let's look at statement number 2. In India, in Indian households, men are typically accorded a position of authority and respect primarily due to their roles as providers. Now see, here it is saying that if you do it, it will, what will it do? It will reaffirm their role. It will formalize the patriarchy. It is saying it will formalize their role. But their role is already there. Here, it is saying that, you know, they are the providers. Couple of places it is saying that they are the providers, and in an Indian family we have seen that this is the normal scenario. So out of statement number 1 and statement number 2, so it is saying that they are already providers, but it will formalize patriarchy and label them as providers formally. So yes, this assumption is also true. So answer here will be C. See beta, one thing, when we are in the examination hall, we have to put our biases and beliefs aside, focus on the paper, tick the correct option, and we have to get our name on the list. Okay, we all are working very hard. You guys, Sunya IAS, everyone is working very hard. So yes, it might be written by a die-hard feminist, but this is a passage given by UPSC, say for example. You have to assume things and tick the correct answer. Okay. It is saying that it will formalize their position. It will formalize. Okay. It cannot be, now see, authority respect primarily due to their role as providers. Okay, since they are providing, so we are combining two premises. Premise number 1, premise number 2. Assumption always is based on two things, premise and belief. Okay, so the first one, we did it on belief. The second one, we are collating on premise basis. Hai na? No, this is not explicitly given. Okay, this is not explicitly given. Don't worry about it. Explicitly given sentences will have the same verbatim, the entire sentence. Okay, here it is saying it will formalize their role. Okay, as providers. So we are combining two premises and then we are assuming that this is already existing. ठीक है? And this is somewhere implicitly said that if men pay for the care work to women, their role as provider will be formalized. So it is implicitly saying that already without doing this, they are getting more respect and authority because they are providers. Getting my point now, guys? Yes, we know it is not explicitly given, but I just explained you. Okay, let's do passage number 4 of our practice. The paradox of hunger amidst plenty has haunted India for a long time and shows no sign of going away. So we are going to talk about hunger and food in this passage. On the contrary, it reached a new plane in 2020. On one hand, the economic recession precipitated by COVID crisis and national lockdown exposed huge number of people to food insecurity. Now we are talking about hunger. Then we are putting a premise of COVID-19 and how it enhanced the food insecurity. Okay. Many household surveys point to reduced food intake in both quantitative and qualitative terms. So we're talking about households here now. The latest survey, Hunger Watch, suggests that food insecurity continued well after the lockdown. So now we're extending the premise post-COVID era also. The government is trying to create an impression that the crisis is largely over, but for informal sector workers, hardship is likely to continue for a long time. So we extended the premise, we're talking government is making an effort, and after that we are saying that it is going to continue for informal sector. On the other hand, excess cereal stocks have reached unprecedented levels and are all set to grow further. So on one hand, there is food insecurity, and on one hand, we have storehouses full of grains. Then sooner or later, the double imbalance in India's cereal economy, okay, will need more than a short-term fix. So we're talking about coming up with a long-term measure. Meanwhile, the need of the hour is to expand the distribution at a PDS. So we're suggesting something. Failing that, the country is heading towards another round of wasteful stock accumulation, even as poor people struggle to feed their families. So whatever we spoke about, we are kind of elaborating the idea in the passage. We are building couple of premises. है ना? So here let us look at the options. है ना? Let's do that. The pandemic has heightened pre-existing inequalities and vulnerabilities of India's food system. Yes, this is an assumption that inequalities are highlighted. We have not mentioned about inequalities, but we are talking about the informal sector, right? And certain households. Guys, hold your horses. We are reaching the answer soon. Okay. The PDS is a critical tool for distributing food to poor in India. Now see, read this thing very carefully. Here we are talking about that we have a lot of stock and we have to expand the distribution. And we have the stocks full, but yet people are hungry. So we can assume that here the author is referring to PDS as a critical tool for distributing food to the poor in India. So this one is very much correct. This is an assumption. So you're stepping outside. If this is correct, no information in the passage is being negated, which is a very important thing. Then, so what will we do? Options where 1 and 2 are not correct, we will negate them. Let us now look at 3. The economic recession and national lockdown have a disproportionate impact on informal sector workers in India. Right? Now here we had expanded the premise that it is not yet over. The government is trying to create impression that the crisis is over, but the crisis is not over. And here what are we saying? Recession and national lockdown. So even this one is correct because we are assuming that this is impacted by these two things. And if this is true, beta, it's not about what is mentioned and not. It's a premise. Here, let's discuss statement number 2. Okay. Let's just discuss everything. Then we'll go to statement number 2. Hunger amidst plenty is a long-standing problem in India that India has yet to resolve. What do you think? Hunger amidst plenty has haunted India for a long time and shows no signs of going away. So can I say this one is explicitly mentioned? It is not expansion of an idea. It is not assuming anything. Is this not explicitly mentioned in the first line? Read it again. Everyone read it for me again. Hunger amidst plenty has haunted India for a long time and shows no sign of going away. And let's read this. Hunger amidst plenty is a long-standing problem in India that has yet to be resolved. Can I say this is explicitly mentioned? Yes. So I am going to negate this option, and hence, what is my answer for question number 5? It is B. See, beta, now a lot of you have confusion regarding this statement. Okay, now if you look at PYQs, UPSC is making these kind of assumptions. Okay, now let us see how can we derive this as an assumption. So here we are talking about that, we have a lot of storage, right? Sooner or later, the double imbalance in India's cereal economy will need more than a short-term fix. We have a lot of storehouses full with it. Meanwhile, the need of the hour is to expand the distribution under PDS. Failing that, the country is heading towards another round of wasteful stock accumulation, even as poor people struggle to feed their families. So we can very well assume that if the PDF net is expanded, then we will be able to reach out to poor people. And hence it can be assumed that PDS is a critical tool for distributing food in people. Okay, it is not clearly mentioned, only the PDS word is mentioned, right? It is a premise that is mentioned. Clear, everyone? No, beta, 4 is given. Okay, 4 is given explicitly. If you read statement number 1, it is the same thing. It has just changed the verbatim. Okay, and there is no belief in it. It is just rewriting the statement in your own words. Clear, everyone? Now let us do passage number 5, question number 6. What is the place for a single year in the history of a nation? A lot of it was 2020. We all have been through this. In the year that is now behind us, the virus, the pandemic, and related interventions changed many things around us. For most, daily routines were disrupted. Ask all of us about it. Yes, it can be an assumption. Yes, Utpal. Okay, you guys are 5 was B beta. Now we are doing 6th question. The passage is 5. The lockdown and other pandemic responses resulted in reduction of economic activities, loss of job, economic slowdown, and caused hardship to every citizen. So these are some of the things that happened. The migrants walking across highways became the disconcerting and defining image of challenges faced by people during the pandemic. We are mentioning one event here. People tested positive for the virus were discriminated against and stigmatized. Frontline workers, while out for contact tracing, were abused and attacked. The infodemic became a major hurdle in effective response to the pandemic. Okay, so we're just describing what all happened in the pandemic, right? Very good, Harshal. Disease have social and economic impact. So now we are talking about the impact. Here we spoke about what all happened, with the poor, marginalized, and vulnerable populations often being worse affected. In the COVID-19 pandemic, it was the marginal and informal sector workers whose sources of income decreased and many of whom lost jobs. Children's education was adversely affected. Women had difficulty in accessing routine health services. The pandemic has reportedly widened inequalities, and Oxfam has termed COVID-19 as the inequality virus. So talking about what all happened, what all are the repercussions, and we are then saying that someone labeled it something. So question number 6, right? Let us see. Now here, this is easy. We are just supposed to find one assumption that is true. Everyone is doing great now. Chalo, I'm glad. I feel very happy when you guys get the answers. The pandemic led to increased global cooperation of sharing knowledge and resources. It is nowhere mentioned. Okay. This cannot be assumed at all. If there was even one sentence, okay, that the developed countries help the poor countries in providing vaccines or something, we could have assumed this to be true. But this is not. The migrant crisis became a defining image of the challenges faced by the people during the pandemic. This is explicitly mentioned. Can I say this is explicitly mentioned? So what do I do with it? Negate it. Then, the pandemic has encouraged individuals and organizations to think more creatively and innovatively to adapt to new challenges. Can we derive this from the passage that we are given? Does it talk about any sort of? How can all of you say C? Come on, give me an explanation. I want to hear to your logic. Tell me, how did you derive to it? How did you come to this one? Come on, quickly. Now, here, the pandemic has encouraged individuals and organizations to think more creatively and innovatively to adapt to new challenges. Where have we mentioned? How did you deduce it? Tell me quickly, how did you deduce it? I want to listen to your logic. This is an interactive class. Why are we doing this live? Yes, we can say that all faced hurdles. So this we will put question mark. We will see if there is anything more that can be related to it. The pandemic has led to greater collaboration and coordination between different sectors and industries. Did we speak about collaboration? No. So since three of them are negating it, one of them is talking about the problems they have faced, we can make an assumption that they might have learned things. Okay. In an assumption, in the actual paper, you will get options like this. If anyone has seen last year's paper, there was one paragraph about, being bothered about other people's opinion, not being able to accumulate enough money. So you will also, have to think out of the box. Everything will not be a cakewalk. So this is one very good eye-opening example for all of us. Let us go ahead. Passage number 6, question number 7. We are doing 10 passages. Okay, so stay with me. India needs a political system. Now, what are we finding here? Inference. What are we reading first? Inference. We are doing 11 questions today. 4 more to go. Be with me. Guys, that is why we are practicing. So that whatever mistakes you are supposed to make in the exam, you make it here, you learn from it, and then you take the correct answer in the examination, right? Chalo, let's get started. India needs a political system enabling dozens of politicians to prove their capabilities as mayor of cities, some of which have populations of tens of millions, more than that of nations. So we're going to talk about polity in this passage. Okay. Let us go ahead. Successful mayors should compete to become chief ministers and then national leaders. So we are talking about urban local governance here. Mayor is the head of a municipal corporation, elected head. Then we're talking about that the population in certain cities is even huge or bigger than certain countries, small countries. ठीक है. A good model would be Indonesia's president. And now we're talking about that leaders of the third tier of the government should be encouraged to take up a bigger political role. A good model would be Indonesia's president, Joko Widodo. If you cannot read it, don't try to read it thrice. Some person's name, Mr. X. He was a teak businessman who joined politics and became mayor of some place, Y place. Gaining recognition as an excellent mayor, he got elected as governor of Jakarta. So he became a governor and president in 14. India needs similar political ladders to facilitate the political rise of people of proven capability. So are we all getting the question now? Let's get here. Now, what is an inference? An inference is something that can be logically deduced from the passage. There is no component of belief or there is nothing of the sort of stepping out of the passage. Okay, what is everyone's answer? Cholo, let's see. India's current political system does not enable capable politicians to rise to the top. We are nowhere saying that we don't have this system. We are saying that we can do something like this. We should give more opportunity. So this is very extreme. The success of politicians in smaller positions, such as mayors, can be a valuable indicator of their abilities to govern larger areas. So we will put a question mark here. Okay, because this also we can very well relate to it. Reforming the political system to create more opportunities for capable politicians could help address issues of corruption and inefficiency in the government. What do you say, guys? Are we talking anywhere about corruption or inefficiency in governance? No. Indian mayors should compete to become chief ministers and then national leaders. Very explicit. So what's your answer here? Everyone on track? Yes. C will be an assumption. Very well pointed, Pradeep. C will be an assumption. We are going one step ahead and thinking that issue of corruption and inefficiency will be resolved if we do this, like Indonesia. So is everyone getting the difference? Inference means something that can be deduced logically from the given information. There is no component of imagination in an inference. That is the basic difference. Now here passage number 7, question number 8. 3 more to go. Okay. Let us go here. On January 13, 2021. So what are we finding again? Inference. The first thing you look at an RC thing is the keyword. Okay. So guys, tell me one thing before starting this passage. Do you think now RC is going to be a cakewalk? You will be able to tackle questions in the examination? Okay, you have to practice regularly with us, with Sunya IAS, and the entire CSAT paper will be very solvable and you will get a lot of more marks than the qualifying marks. Okay, but you have to practice every day. You have to put in equal amount of hard work like we are putting in. है ना? Chalo, great. Now let us read this. Inference we are deriving. What is inference? Something that can be logically deduced. On January 13, 2021, subscribers of English newspapers in India woke up with a full-page advertisement from WhatsApp on the front pages. Okay, so we're going to talk about WhatsApp here. Earlier in the week, WhatsApp had announced an upcoming challenge to its privacy policy, which led to growing concerns around privacy among many users. So talking about privacy now. We all have experienced this. Okay, relate to it. Then, and who started switching over to other messaging services such as Signal and Telegram. We all are on Telegram, right? So since WhatsApp's privacy policy was changing, we thought something else would be more safe. Because all our conversations are very private. This led WhatsApp to issue the advertisements which committed to protecting the privacy of its users. Done. The unprecedented move by the Facebook-owned company indicates that Indian consumers are becoming more aware and concerned about data protection and privacy, a trend that has become stronger in the recent past. The issue of privacy is crucial for government technology platforms and services, as governments typically have a monopoly in providing public services, unlike the private sector. Okay, आगे. Hence, porting out or digital migration, as seen in the case of WhatsApp, is not an option. What is needed instead is an examination of government technologies platform to create better awareness. So the entire passage Okay, talks about user awareness, WhatsApp, the role of government, and lot of things. So let us see this thing. Government technology platforms and services are subject to stricter privacy. What do you think about this? Okay, let's put a question mark. है ना? In exam, you will not be clear about everything that the passage is talking about. Let's solve it real exam time. Second one. Okay, Facebook's ownership of WhatsApp may make Indian users more skeptical about the privacy of their data. Now, it is nowhere saying. Does it say it? It says that the Facebook owned WhatsApp is made us realize that Indian consumers are more aware about their data privacy. It does not say anywhere that they are skeptical. It says that it got us to know how much we value our privacy. So can I negate this second one? Now see the beauty of it. This is your answer. Many a times in your examination, you will stumble upon such options wherein you will be very sure of deleting one option and reach the answer. Skeptical, one should know skeptical meaning is. Skeptical is a word generally used very much in our GS also. It's a very easy word. Okay, skeptical means not sure. I'm skeptical about this thing. Okay, got the answer? Very easy. Again, passage number 8. Question number 9, 9, 10, 11, 3 to go. Here. Recent developments in literary theory have marked certain paradigm shifts in literary studies. Okay, we are going to get such confusing passages in your mains examination also. So stay with me for 3 more questions. The cultural contexts of the production and reception of the text have started receiving greater attention. So now we are talking about a text. What I type, I send it to you, what you perceive out of it. Okay. The text is no longer supported to be a repository of fixed meanings. Right, I may write something, mean something, you might perceive something. Not fixed. The challenge is the conditions of textual receptions make every reading and writing, and conversely, every writing becomes a reading. The shift in literary theory has led to a renewed interest in the role of leader in the interpretation and construction of meanings in literary texts. These are the kind of passages that you will find. It is now widely accepted that the meaning of text is not fixed or inherent, but rather is produced through dynamic interaction between the reader and the text. There are no fixed meanings. You might say something to me, I might read and perceive something else. This is one of the biggest issues in texting people. Moreover, literary theory has become increasingly interdisciplinary, drawing on insights from fields such as philosophy, linguistics, psychology, anthropology, and cultural studies. This has led to a more nuanced understanding of the complex relationship between literature, culture, and society. Okay, so this is a damn confusing passage. Now let us see what inference can we draw. Study of literature considers the cultural context of the production and reception of the text. Guys, what do you say what your answer is? Let's put a question mark. This might be the answer. है ना? Then, literary theory has undergone recent developments that have revived interest in the crucial role of the reader. Does this sound also true? Can this be derived? Yes, this can be. The evolution of literary theory has led to a shift in focus away from regarding text as unchanging storehouses of meanings. Is it negating the information? Unchanging storehouses. We're talking about the meaning changes. It's interpretable. It's dynamic. Advancement in literary theory have fostered an interdisciplinary approach that assimilates perspectives from diverse fields. Now, this is a kind of passage you will have to read again. Read a statement, read the passage, and you will be able to understand. Now, this is here, more easier. Become increasingly interdisciplinary, the fields are written. This has led to more nuanced understanding of the complex relationship between literature, culture, and society. From different fields. This is one of the best inferences that we can derive. Okay, we have to derive the most logical inference. ठीक है, very simple. When we talk about the most logical, UPSC will give you very similar ideas and you will have to choose just one out of it. Second last question, passage number 9, question number 10. This is an easier one. Okay, but see guys, there's one thing. At Sunya, we don't want you to practice things which are easy. UPSC paper is going to give you bouncer passages, bouncer questions, and we have to be well prepared for all sort of questions. Right? That is the real practice. Let us go ahead. Population aging is one of the major concerns in developing countries, which is the result of lower levels of fertility and increased longevity. Okay, so we're talking about aging here. These countries, sorry guys, are experiencing an unprecedented rise in number of and proportion of aged persons. So we're talking about proportions, how many are aged and how many are young. It is estimated that the proportion of the aged population is around 17% of the total population of the developed countries in the year 1995, but in developing countries, it is at present 7%. So we're comparing developing and developed countries. However, recent trends of demographic transition in most of the developing countries indicate that the process of aging is already accelerating, and future projections indicate that the pace of aging would be much faster in the coming decades. Relatively, shorter time span taken to complete the demographic transition in the developing countries would result in a faster increase in the proportion of aged 60 plus in these countries. Consequently, they should have policies and programs now itself to cope up with the problems of the aged. So talking about that, since we have a bigger, younger population right now, after a few years, we will have more aged population. So now let's look at the questions objectively. Statements objectively. Inference we have to draw. The mounting count of aged individuals has the potential to overload the existing infrastructure and services, thereby creating strains and challenges. Now guys, tell me one thing. We are talking about they should have policies and programs now itself to cope up with the problems of the aged. So yes, by policies and programs, we can infer that we're talking about existing services and infrastructure. This can be deduced. Okay. Second, the issue of population aging is a prolonged and enduring demographic trend that necessitates sustained and unrelenting focus. Yes, we need to focus. Population aging could result in changes in family structures and caregiving agreements. Have we ever mentioned families or the family structure? No, we have not mentioned family. So this cannot be deduced logically out of it. Clear everyone? So what is our answer? Our answer here is A. Last question for today. Okay, last question of RC for today. Since the inception of civilization, games have been playing, sorry guys, just a second. Games have been playing a very important role in life of human beings. With the rise in education, all spheres of men have been affected. Yes, sports are no exception. Nowadays, government and non-government organizations are taking keen interest in promoting the sports. Yes, we've seen that. It is very correct to say that sports have become part and parcel of life. Can we say this? Yes. A sport is essentially the aspect of human activity which strengthens the integration of the body and mind. It is also, now we're talking about the benefits. Here we are saying how important it is, who all are supporting. Okay, last question, stay with me. It is also pointed out that in the literature that such performance provides stimulation to central nervous system to such an extent that the underdeveloped dead or dying cell will either be, so now we're talking about the benefits, be rehabilitated of their function, will be assumed by other or newly generated cells. Van Dalen contends that Greeks were the first civilized people to lay an equal emphasis on the cultivation of man of action and man of wisdom through games, sports, and vigorous activities. They were of the considered opinion that intellectual achievement could not be possible without physical efficiency. So here we are talking about what Greeks believed. Here we are talking about the positives. Here we are talking about the importance. After reading a passage, all of us, okay, has to be having this mind map in our brains, what is being spoken where, so that if we need to read again, we read just one component. Promoting sports and physical activity has become a priority for governments and organizations alike. Yes, it can be inferred. Can it be? Yes. Now see, in the option, always keep on looking at the option. One is here with all the options. So one has to be correct. So don't, grind your brains over statement number one. Then a way to conceptualize sports is as a form of human activity that promotes harmonious interaction between body and the mind. What do you say? Let's put a question mark here, है ना? Let's read 3. Physical proficiency is necessary component for achieving intellectual excellence. Now see this statement. Here it is said that the Greeks believed it. Okay, it is nowhere saying that this is necessary. So this statement is, but the options are given like that. In examination also you will have things like it. So you don't have an option to negate this one. Okay, very, very simple. है ना? So it is not necessary. This is an extreme statement. Can I cancel these? Because it has 3. Education's increasing prominence has impacted every aspect of human life, including sports. In the examination, you don't get to play by your rules, my rules. You have to play by the rules of UPSC. Okay? So one statement, and whenever these kind of options are given, you will have one statement that will lead you to the answer. These questions are made very strictly on UPSC patterns. So practicing them will really help you a lot. And also I advise all of you to practice a lot of PYQs and understand how does UPSC want you to assume things, infer things. Clear guys? So the link for the DPP practice, this class today was a part of the daily prelims practice. You will have similar practice sessions for quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, which will help you build your concepts and reach the correct answer in very stipulated amount of time, and you will be able to handle your CSAT paper very smoothly. So if you want to get rid of your CSAT phobia, join the DPP. We are there to handhold you. Every day we will practice together, right, and clear your doubts. So guys, thank you very much for being with us today. Hope to see you soon again. And if you want to join the daily practice program in April, then the link for the same is given in the description box below. Thank you very much, guys.